When you want your spring break to feel like... and your kids' pool day to feel like... and your hotel bed to feel like... ooh, and room service to feel like... because at Hilton, hospitality feels like...
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
it matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Introducing Virtuo Up, the latest in a long line of innovation from Nespresso. It's innovation you can touch, sense, and taste in every single cup. With a 3-second start, easy open lever, and dedicated brew over ice button, it's even easier to enjoy your coffee your way. Sip for yourself. Shop Virtuo Up exclusively at Nespresso.com.
An all-new season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Mom Talk has just been blowing up.
Whitney and Jen are on Dancing with the Stars.
Taylor is a bachelorette.
Saying that out loud is crazy. Like, that is huge.
But all the cool opportunities could pull us apart.
It's causing issues in everyone's marriage.
My whole world is falling apart right now. It's chaos.
Watch the Hulu original series, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
I love the fact that there's so many of you out there in that age group, in your 30s, especially late 30s, and even those of you in your 20s, wanting to learn more, like wanting to know what you can do right now to just set yourself up to be as strong as possible, functional, vibrant, energetic, continue to do the things that you want to do through the aging process. And that's one of the best reasons that you are here right now, is because you can start some of these habits now. By doing them now, you are setting yourself up for success later. I'm Jessica Valant. I'm a physical therapist, women's health expert, and Pilates teacher, and my goal is to help all women feel strong, safe, and secure in their bodies. In this podcast, I'll share expert advice, facts, amazing guests, stories, compassion, and hope to help you meet your body in all seasons of life. Hi, and welcome back to Meet Your Body. We are talking today about how to prepare for perimenopause and the menopausal transition. So this conversation is happening because of a question and a request I received actually over on Instagram. So I did an Ask Me Anything slide one day, and someone asked about the best ways to prepare for perimenopause. She's in her 30s, and she has seen all the conversations out there happening and the messages coming out, and wondering what she can do now to prepare. And I thought it was a great question. Not only does it open us up to a great discussion we can have, but really, it wasn't anything I had even thought of. Being a 48-year-old woman kind of right in the middle of perimenopause, that is kind of where I am, right? Like, that's the information I'm in the middle of, and that is who I find myself talking to. And then also really trying to learn what I can do now as I approach the menopausal transition, as I really enter the second half of life and want to feel strong and vibrant. But I hadn't put myself back into my 30s or my 20s thinking, what do I wish I would have known? What could I have done differently? Or what would I tell women to do who want to prepare? And so it was such a great question. So one, it is a message to all of you out there. If there's something you want me to talk about, throw it out there. Like, send an email, shoot a DM. I don't always see them, but sometimes I do. But I'll see emails. The team will pass it on. I want to know what you guys want to know about, because it actually really helps me, and it opens my eyes as well to conversations we need to have. So I love doing this today. And I love the fact that there's so many of you out there in that age group. Like I said, in your 30s, especially late 30s, even early 40s, and even those of you in your 20s, wanting to learn more, like wanting to know what you can do right now to just set yourself up to be as strong as possible, functional, vibrant, energetic, continue to do the things that you want to do through the aging process. So I'm super excited about today's conversation. So first thing is to know that you can continue to feel all those things. And in fact, you could even be healthier, stronger, more energetic, more vibrant as you age than you are now. I know for me, again, being 48 years old, I am like on the tail end of Gen X. We did not talk about these things when we were young in my generation. We kind of knew the word menopause, right? We knew that word. It was like a word we didn't approach. No one talked about it. We just knew older women went through it, period. And then like you changed. Like you kind of went through menopause. And then it's almost like we put women in a different category after that. And there was this idea that things were just kind of done, right? Like you were done being active, or you were possibly done being a contributing member to society. I mean, these are all horrible narratives, and I could do another podcast about how we do not respect the elders in our society, which is absolutely true. But that was definitely a piece of it with me growing up, is women didn't talk about the menopausal transition at all. It wasn't a conversation that was had, which did a disservice to so many women going through it of that generation. So thank goodness this messaging is coming out now. Like for me personally, thank goodness this messaging is coming out while I am in perimenopause, so I can learn, so I can take steps. But I will say, there was no conversation around this. I would say like over the past 20 years when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. And truly, even if there had been, I'm not sure if I would have been really open to it. I was very busy doing other things. um, but the messaging that was there, as I said, was kind of, okay, you're going to stop working out, or you become weaker. You're not a contributing member anymore. Like there's not vibrancy left. So I am here to tell you firsthand, as someone going through perimenopause, but also as someone who has the privilege of talking with, working with thousands, I mean, millions of women across the world, that messaging is just not accurate. I see so much strength, so much joy, so much vibrancy in the women that I work with. And I can say, and I was literally just having this exact conversation with a Zoom client I was working with this morning. Personally, I feel stronger than I ever have before. I can say for a fact, I am doing leg press heavier than I have before. You can continue to grow, continue to do the activities you want to do. I am playing with the kids. I am just learning to ski. I am in my second year of being a beginner skier as a 48-year-old. Like all of these things are open to you. So make sure that you hang on to that message. I think we really need to view aging as an opportunity. And I know that can be hard. Believe me, there's a lot of emotions that come with aging. There's a lot of emotions that come with being a caretaker for older parents. There's a lot of emotions that come with watching people we care about age. There is a lot, and I am not discounting that whatsoever. I am saying that I view aging as a privilege. I have absolutely seen and been a caretaker for my mother-in-law who had Alzheimer's, who was not functional, who was not independent, who I know would have given anything to be able to get out of a wheelchair and live a life independently. And that's who I think of when I get to live life in the body I have right now, that I get to make choices for myself around movement and exercise and what I eat and nourishing my nervous system. I remember that there are people who would give anything to be able to do that, to be able to age with the people they love. So that's what I focus on. So I do want to pass that message on. And that there is definitely a piece to and truth to the fact that women say, as we get older, there's wisdom that comes with that. And I know I'm just dipping my toes into it. I mean, I look to to role models that I have, and I look to women who walked ahead of me, women who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s who I have the joy of talking to, who really embody that. The fact that they've gained wisdom, the fact that they feel more comfortable in the space that they hold in the world. So that is available to you through the aging process. And yes, we can talk about some tips today about how to help, not only with that, but again, to feel strong, to really stay as healthy as possible, and to enter that next phase, that kind of perimenopause phase and working into the menopausal transition, to enter that phase not only as strong as possible, but really feeling as comfortable in your body as possible. So that's one piece of this. Knowing also it takes a lot of self-awareness. It takes work. I don't take for granted the fact that I'm working to be comfortable in this place. Like, it's been a lot of work in the years preceding this to be here. So again, another reason why it's great that you're here listening today, because it does take some intentional work. And then also remembering, as we talk through the tips that I have for you today on how to really be as healthy as possible and enter that perimenopausal transition and like in the best place you could. One thing to really remember is it is easier to keep habits going versus start new habits. And that's one of the best reasons that you are here right now, is because you can start some of these habits now. By doing them now, you are setting yourself up for success later on. So remember that as we go through our tips today. So here we go. I am going to get started and tell you my top tips for ways to feel as strong and empowered as possible as you enter the perimenopausal transition, and some of the things that I would go back and tell myself during that time as well. So one is to know physiologically, hormonally, anatomically, what changes occur. Like, believe it or not, with me and my extensive health history, going through what I've been through, being a physical therapist at that time, so a few years ago when I was entering this transition, I didn't even know what to expect. I didn't know the changes that were coming, which is why I've continued, and I am now a certified women's health expert, perimenopause, menopausal expert, because I realized the things that as a trained healthcare professional, I didn't even know. It is truly amazing what we are not told and what we are not taught. So I think knowing what to expect is hugely helpful. Don't go into it blind. It has helped me really actually kind of take ownership over the symptoms I feel by knowing why they're happening. So I'm going to do a quick review for you here, but also know I'll have some links for you below. I have more in-depth podcasts about this, like about really what is happening from a physiological perspective, from a hormonal perspective. Just start to understand that, just start to know those changes. It's really important. But let me give you a quick umbrella view of what happens as you enter perimenopause, which can be up to 10 years before you go through the menopausal transition. All right. So perimenopause is defined as the time prior to going through the menopausal transition, which, as you know, that is defined it's the definition of being postmenopausal is 1 year without a period or without a cycle. So I've had a hysterectomy. So I just say 1 year without a cycle because I don't have a period anymore, but I do still cycle. So it would be 1 year without a cycle or 1 year without a period. That is the current medical definition of moving into that postmenopausal place. So perimenopause are the years, is defined as the years leading up to that. And like I said, it can be up to 10 years prior to that. And there is no specific definition of what age this happens at. One way actually to try to determine is just what your mom went through. So many times the age that we would be expected to go through that transition and enter perimenopause and menopause is what our moms went through. So you can kind of start to gauge that a little bit. Otherwise, we're all very different. But typically, perimenopause can start anywhere from late 30s into kind of mid 40s. I personally first started noticing symptoms myself around the age of 45. That's when I first noticed them. I'm guessing it was happening about a year before that, but I really started noticing them around the age of 45 for myself. So what happens is estrogen, progesterone, testosterone all start to drop. They don't drop at the exact same rate. So just know that. And again, I won't get into all the details here, but they do start to drop. So it can lead to a variety of symptoms, but many symptoms that you've probably heard of and maybe some that might surprise you. Vision changes. And I say that because that was the first thing I noticed. As someone who's worn contacts my entire life, I was pretty aware of my vision, what I needed. I wear contacts and then I wear glasses at night. I started noticing that the first time in a very long time, my prescription was changing and I needed reading glasses. As someone who thought maybe I would just skip that, like maybe I just won't ever need reading glasses. Oh no. I do. And now they're absolute they're required if I want to read anything with my contacts. But that was the first thing I noticed. And interestingly enough, my husband had much worse vision than I did and wore contacts his whole life. Then he had LASIK surgery about 9 years ago and did really well until around the age of 47, 48. And he now needs contacts again and glasses again. Isn't that interesting? So all that to say, vision changes was one of the first things I noticed. So other changes you might notice, thinning hair, or just your hair breaks more easily. So hair changes, skin changes. For me, the skin on my face became more sensitive. I definitely became more sensitive to products I had used for years. So I needed to change up my products a little bit. Mood changes. And this is directly related to the drop of estrogen, actually, because estrogen is one of the main factors that helps our nervous system stay regulated. So when we start to lose estrogen, our moods can change. We can have increased anxiety, increased depression, but also just the fact that we are like that idea that you're more prone or more sensitive to something, like you'll react at the drop of the hat, people might say, but it's because of the drop of estrogen. Our nervous systems themselves are more sensitive to a stressor that comes our way, and it's harder for us to find baseline. So increased stress, increased anxiety, very common symptoms, and it's because of the decreased estrogen that we feel. Weight gain, brain fog, sleep disturbances, hot flashes, changes in how your workouts feel. That was another one for me personally. I noticed that I wasn't gaining the strength that I typically would have from the workouts that I was doing. So how it started for me was, again, I was around the age of 45. I had one ovary left after my hysterectomy, so I was still cycling. But I really kind of noticed those vision changes first. I noticed an increase of 5 pounds that I couldn't shake when typically I would. A fluctuation of 5 pounds is not a big deal whatsoever. It happens to all of us. But I had that increase and it just wouldn't go back down. I'm like, wow, that's kind of stubborn when it typically isn't. And then I was noticing definitely more muscle aches and joint pains with a lack of increased strength from the heavier workouts I was doing. And that's what kind of opened my eyes to, I bet I'm entering perimenopause. And I do have an entire podcast around that, like I said, so I'll have the link below. But just knowing that, like just knowing what happens, knowing that they call it the second puberty, that alone opened my eyes. And I said, oh, now that makes sense. When we're going through puberty and we experience all those sudden changes, is because those hormones I listed are suddenly coming online and increasing. Second puberty, perimenopause, those same hormones are now suddenly going offline. They are decreasing and we are getting symptoms from it. That is what is happening. So it's important to know not only exactly what is happening, but just to know something is physiologically happening. This isn't just in your mind. This is a huge, huge change for your body. These hormones that we have relied on for years and years and years that actually have a lot to do with our overall health are suddenly decreasing. So we're going to feel things. Symptoms are going to happen. All right. So that's my first tip. Just know what's happening, kind of know what to expect a little bit, even though all of us react differently. Like not all of us have those symptoms I listed. So don't think you're necessarily in store for all of them whatsoever. Just know they all are possible symptoms. Knowing what's happening, I believe knowledge is power. Here you go. I am giving you some power in the form of knowledge. So the second thing I recommend doing is find at least one doctor who you feel like is on your support team. And I think this is important because for me, at least in my 20s and my 30s, I did not pay much attention to that. Now, I, again, had my first surgery for endo in my early 20s, so I was seeing doctors all the time. But I would just like go in, do what I had to do, and kind of move on. I didn't think about having someone who was following me for a long period of time, who knew me and my health history, who I felt like was an advocate for me. So I would say don't put pressure on yourself to find that one person right now, but just start to put your mind around that. Like, is there a DO or a PCP you really like? Is it your OBGYN? Is it a physical therapist or a pelvic floor physical therapist? Is it a functional medicine doctor? It can be a variety of people. But to just, again, kind of put your mind around the fact that having at least one person that you can go to ask your questions, to help you prepare, to order your tests for you, all of that is helpful to have. All right. So that is kind of my step number 2, tip number 2. Tip number 3, a few tests that it might be helpful to have. And again, this would be for, I think, anyone kind of late 20s into your 30s. This can give you some information. Now, I don't want to sit and tell you that have every test under the sun and that will help you predict how you'll react to perimenopause. Nope, that's not how it works. But there are a few things that can be so helpful to know so that you can like put a pin in it and say, you know what, I need to focus a little bit on this. Like that might help me going forward. So one is a DEXA scan. Now, a DEXA scan is testing your bone density. So it is going to help you understand more either your risk or possible diagnosis of osteoporosis. Why this is important is because we in general as a society, the messaging is that osteoporosis is a condition of older women. You don't need to know anything about it until you're 60 or 65. The problem is, like DEXA scans are recommended for women over the age of 60 or 65. The thing is, by the time you are that age and you are being told you have osteoporosis, there is not a lot you can do about preventing it. All you're trying to do is keep it from getting worse. Versus if we know earlier on, the research shows us that there's quite a lot that we can do. If we're told we have osteopenia or we see that we are actually lower bone density than we assume to be as a young woman, there's a lot we can do to help keep our bones strong. So a lot of experts are recommending that women get DEXA scans when they're younger. So I'm just telling you that to keep it in mind. You can pay out of pocket for it if your insurance won't cover it. It is not hugely expensive. I believe it's under $100. I know that's nothing to sneeze at, but compared to some medical tests or even a copay, that might even be less than your copay. And it's something you can talk to your doctor about. But even if your doctor says, no, you're young, you don't need that, just write it down in your notes. Keep in mind, as you get into your 30s, you just might want to go ahead and get yourself a DEXA scan so you know where your bone density is right now. So that's one just to keep in mind. Another is a general hormone panel. And again, I don't think our labs tell us the full story of anything. I don't think it's the end all be all, but it's really helpful information to have, especially if you are trying to get pregnant or if you're in your fertility journey right now. For me, I was in my 30s, and I know many women in their 30s are in their late 20s starting to think about, What is my likelihood of being able to get pregnant if I want to? Should I freeze my eggs? What does this mean for my future? A lot of us start to look at that around that age. For me, having endometriosis, I was able to get pregnant with our daughter at the age of 35 and then had secondary infertility with our son. So I did go through all of that and had the panels. I actually went through IVF. And so having that information, what many experts will tell you is that like our general fertility can be an indicator of overall health for women. And just knowing those numbers, again, can be helpful. How are your ovaries working? How are they producing? How do those hormones look? So to have that and have it kind of as a baseline that you can use for other things or use later on may be helpful. And that's something that you could ask your PCP for. So those two things, DEXA scan, and then a basic hormone panel. And then also cholesterol levels, which generally, if you're talking to your PCP and you just ask for a basic blood work, it's going to be included in that. But that's something helpful to know too. And another reason, like some of those hormone levels, because they'll also check your thyroid levels and then cholesterol levels being included, it will just give you more information. And sometimes it will give us a little guidance of, oh, I'm going to work on that. Like I didn't realize I was low there. I didn't realize actually that my health history of that, because my grandmother had it, it might affect me. So even though I'm not feeling symptoms, this shows my thyroid levels low. Let me talk to someone about that if there's anything preemptively that I can do about it. Okay. Knowledge is power. So those 3 tests can be helpful to have, which leads us right into point 4, which is know your health history. A lot of us in our 20s, that's the last thing we're thinking of is our health history, is the health history of our family and our parents. Just take a few minutes, like take an hour one day on a Saturday. If you don't know the health history of your family, take an hour, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, talk to whoever is around you that you might be able to discuss with. If you don't have those conversations available, if you are adopted, completely understand. And I know that will change this conversation for you. At least talk to the caregivers in your life to find out your own health history. And write it down and just keep it in your records. That's really, really important information to have. Again, ask questions maybe you haven't of. Ask your mom, hey, what age were you when you went through menopause? How was that for you? Did you go on HRT? What are your symptoms? I mean, I just talked to my mom about this the other day. I kind of remember now her going through it, but we never had conversations about it. I didn't know that she had been on HRT for an extended period of time. I didn't know certain things about her health history. Find out about your maternal grandparents, your your paternal grandparents. That is really important information to have. So get an extensive health history from your family, write down your own extensive health history, and just put it in one place. Have it in your notes. You don't even necessarily need to do anything with it right now, but have it there to give you more information for yourself, use it as a guide, and then also to have it inevitably in the future when you start to, again, see specialists or you want to learn more or take your treatment to another level, you will have that ready to go. As I said with building habits, it's so much easier to do it on the front end, but same with some of these other things. Like it might sound like some work right now, but just having that one doctor in your corner that you're comfortable talking to who has your medical records, having your health history written down, maybe having a DEXA scan as a baseline, just having those now, like doing a little bit of work on the front end, can really be a help later on. All right, we're going to get to the second half of my tips for preparing for perimenopause. But first, a quick word from our sponsors who help make this show possible. While I try my best to meal prep and put together healthy meals for our family, there are times that just falls through the cracks. It can be kiddo evening activities that keeps us rushing from one thing to another, overlapping work meetings for me during the day, which means I need something fast for lunch, or simply that I am on my last day before my grocery run and I am scraping together whatever we have in the fridge. This is where Factor Meals comes in. Factor Meals are created and prepared by chefs and nutritionists, meaning they include balanced nutrients in addition to flavor. They come straight to your doorstep fresh, never frozen. You simply microwave for 2 minutes and you have a high-protein meal ready to go. You can choose from things such as breakfast burritos and salads, all the way to steak and chicken tacos. There is something for everyone. Head to factormeals.com/meetyourbody50off and use code meetyourbody50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Hydration is one of the keys to the foundation of my personal health. I simply feel better when I stay hydrated. The problem is I'm not always great about having the water I need. I'm always intentionally working on it, and Cure Electrolytes helps with this. With no added sugar and plant-based electrolytes, Cure is a no-brainer way for me and my family to feel hydrated. I can throw a packet in my purse, the car, or even in my luggage when traveling, and I'll always ensure I'm getting the hydration I need. Staying hydrated isn't just about water. You also need electrolytes. That's why I love Cure. It's clean, tastes great, and actually works. For Meet Your Body listeners, you can get 20% off your first order at curehydration.com/MYB with code MYB. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cure right here. It really helps support the show. And here's a bonus. Cure is FSA and HSA approved, so you can use your FSA or HSA funds to stay hydrated the smart way. Don't just drink more water, upgrade it with Cure. I am committed to taking care of my skin while also needing to always be aware of what products I use. I have found my skin to be increasingly dry and sensitive as I get older, which means I want both products that feel good and that work on my needs, such as sunspots, fine lines, and those fun wrinkles that keep showing up. One Skin fits the bill and more. It feels great, is somehow light and nourishing all at once, and definitely has the science to help with my desire to look my best as I age. Born from over a decade of longevity research, One Skin's OS1 peptide is proven to target the visible signs of aging, helping you unlock your healthiest skin now and as you age. For a limited time, try One Skin with 15% off using code MEETYOURBODY at oneskin.co/meetyourbody. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code MEETYOURBODY. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Now back to our show. All right, so my next tip for preparing for perimenopause is to deal with any lingering pain or injuries that you have or that might be holding you back. So this comes into play in a couple ways. One is it is really common. Let's say you have had a baby in your 30s and you have not gotten back to regular exercise since having the baby, or you have lingering back pain, or you're just not comfortable in your body and you aren't sure what you can get back to doing. Let's say you have a knee injury because you've been a runner your whole life and suddenly it's starting to just kind of stick around and bother you. And so you've been limited with your running. And so exercise and workouts have taken a back seat. All of those things start to change our habits. And again, as we've mentioned, it is harder to start new habits than it is to just continue the good habits that you've been doing. So if you let those lingering things continue to affect you, it is going to be harder during that perimenopause time to start new habits again. Not only that, but truly, as we mentioned, things do change during perimenopause. Things feel different. And I don't want your body going through these sudden changes and then you also asking yourself to suddenly change your workouts, find new workouts, start lifting weights, drink more water, eat better food. Like that's asking a lot of yourself. So start to deal with it now. That also comes into play and goes for any surgeries that you think might be coming up or you're questioning For me, that actually was my prolapse repair surgery. So I experienced major prolapse and pelvic floor dysfunction after the birth of our daughter when I was 35. I knew that I wanted to have another child. Surgery wasn't an option during that. I learned how to manage it. It never went away. So when I was 41, 42 in there, I finally had prolapse repair surgery. And because of my endo and my prolapse, I had a hysterectomy. I did not come to that decision lightly. I spent a good 2 or 3 years preparing for that, deciding about it, learning about it, researching, deciding what was right for me up until the surgery. But I also knew now was the time to do it. That's what I was telling myself. I didn't want to wait till I was 50 or 60 to see how I responded. I didn't want to continue to be afraid to move or exercise. I didn't want to not be able to run after my kids if they wanted to play tag. It was important to me to actually get it done around that age before my body really started to change, before I got older. There's something to be said for our ability to heal and our ability to go through surgeries at a younger age. That is not always the case. I do not want you to rush into any possible surgeries just because you're younger. We can all do it when we get older and it might be appropriate, but it's just something to keep in mind, especially if there's, again, those injuries, pains, questions that are holding you back from exercise. See your doctor, see a physical therapist, get a program to help you get back to movement. That is vital right now. All right, my next tip. Take a look at your relationship with alcohol and food. Now, don't leave. Don't turn this off, okay? This is when I would always turn people off because I didn't want to take any more tips in, especially around alcohol and food. I am not here to tell you to completely change your diet and clean everything up. I don't think that's realistic. And I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't even know what a completely clean diet looks like. Okay. It's different for all of us. And I'm also not here to tell you to completely stop drinking alcohol. I have an entire podcast about alcohol and my current experience with it. And I will have that link below too, because I think it's a really important listen. So I won't get into it all here. All of that to say, we do absolutely know that what we put in our body, what we eat, what we drink has an effect on our health. Especially as we age, we can use food to nourish ourselves. We can also use our habits around food and alcohol to take us into more of a non-nourished, stressed, unhealthy place. And that's why I say, look at your habits around those things. So before you even decide, oh my gosh, Jessica's telling me to just throw away that bag of chips, I want you more to look at your habits around eating. Are you eating really late at night? Like, that's something maybe to look at and possibly change. Are you eating no protein? Are you eating like really highly processed meals on the go because you're so busy? Are you skipping breakfast all the time? Are you drinking alcohol at night because it's just a habit and you don't actually care or want it? Those are the things to start to look at now. Like, while you have some presence to do it, while you're not in the midst of all those other changes, just look at your habits around food and around alcohol. Again, maybe write it down. Maybe notice a couple things you can change. If you notice, yeah, I am drinking that glass of wine every single night, but it's just out of habit. I don't even know if I really like it. All right, can you go to every other night? Like, how does that feel? Are you able to change that? Oh, I skip breakfast every single day because I'm just sleep as late as I can, or I'm a new mom and I am not sleeping at all. And so I just grab a sugary granola bar in the morning. Like, bless, I get it. I understand what you're why you're doing that. Can you maybe prep some breakfast burritos to have that high protein egg in your body first thing in the morning? Can you bring in someone to possibly, help you meal prep on a Sunday to have some freezer meals? Just looking at those habits can really make a difference, and it makes it easier later on. I am telling you that now. It really does. If you can get into the habit of protein right now, high protein snacks, less processed foods, changing your habits maybe around alcohol, all of that will make a difference later on. So that's all I'm asking you to do right now. Just take a peek, take a little look, an honest look at some of your habits. Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting high fiber? Like fiber's a big one we don't tend to look at until we're older. If you can be getting 30 to 40 grams of fiber a day right now, amazing. Like look at some of those habits and are there some things that you can change within that? My next tip, lift weights. I will shout it from the mountaintops. Lift, lift, lift weights. Luckily, we are in a time right now where I think a lot of women know that and know the importance of it. And this too, I will have a link below. I have an entire podcast about how to start lifting weights if you are new to lifting weights. Because there's some really actionable tips to make it less complicated and feel less like a big ask. But I am telling you, start getting in the habit 2 times a week minimum, 3 if you can, but 2 times a week minimum. Pick up some weights for 20 minutes. And it will make a big difference. And I am so grateful that I had the chance to make that a habit when I was in my early 20s. I actually worked at a gym, but I worked as a physical therapist and Pilates teacher. So lifting weights was a little new to me. And I hired a trainer at the gym and I said, show me what to do. Show me how to use these machines. Like, show me what a compound movement is. What are some basic arm movements I can do? What are some basic leg movements I can do? Like, I am new. Show me. 3 sessions was what it took. And then me doing research on my own, getting some weights at home, learning how to lift, making it really basic until it became empowering, until it became fun. And I'm grateful every day that I had that habit earlier on, so that as my body does change, as I've been through all the surgeries I've been through and all the health stuff, and now as I'm going through perimenopause, I can adjust what my weightlifting sessions look like, but they are ingrained in me. I do them every week, 3 times a week. So if you haven't started that habit, do it now. Again, even if you have injuries, I promise there are ways to move and lift weights. See a physical therapist if needed. I do one-on-one online consults a lot to help people get a program started at home. There's a lot of resources out there. All right, start lifting your weights.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, Granola, and Bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker, bring out the good.
I never thought that I would be here talking to you about underwear and bras, but here we are. They are actually so important in our day-to-day lives. We wear them just about every day. And it seems like we typically put up with really uncomfortable undergarments. And I think life is too short to do that. So when Skims reached out to me months ago asking me to try their products, to be honest, I didn't have very high expectations because I've never been able to find something that I really, truly love. Skims has blown me out of the water. I find myself reaching for their Everybody thong just about every day. I am doing laundry extra times a week so that I can actually have them available for my workouts. They're so soft. It feels like I'm not wearing anything whatsoever, and I can sweat in them, and it's completely comfortable. And their bras have been so surprising to me. As someone who's had a double mastectomy, bras can be really uncomfortable for me, and they are so soft. They're supportive. They are gentle. And they have specific products for mastectomy, which is really awesome. So I highly recommend you check out Skims. You can shop Skims Fits Everybody collection at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
My next tip, we have 3 more, okay? 3 more. Nervous system support. Gosh, this is one I didn't even, especially in my 20s. Just the last thing I thought about was supporting my nervous system. Especially women. We just think hustle, hustle, busy, go, go, go. We are doing everything everyone wants us to do. We're told we can have it all. So by golly, we're going to have it all. And we burn the candles at both ends. I mean, every end possible, that candle is burning. You're working. Maybe you're going back to school. Maybe you are a caretaker for elderly parents. Maybe you have newborn. Maybe you're going through IVF. Maybe you're just dealing with the world right now and your nervous system is shot, or you have loans or student debt, or it can be 100 different things. And somehow when we're young, we just think we should be able to deal with it. And sometimes we can until we suddenly can't anymore. And we just don't make our nervous system a priority. And I'm here to tell you, it is vital that you make your nervous system nourishment a priority. I'll have a link for this below as well if you're unsure kind of what that means or where to start. But it might just mean deep breathing a couple minutes throughout the day. It might mean putting your phone down, going for a walk out in the sun for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be big self-care acts, but it needs to be you prioritizing your own nervous system, prioritizing sleep, possibly learning how to say no, prioritizing your time. All of those acts that feels like nourishment to your nervous system, it's really important that you start to make it a priority now and at least understand how important it is to your health going forward. My next tip plays on that a little bit, but it's slightly different, is to start doing embodiment work now. So the previous tip was really about your nervous system. Really, really important part of your physiology. Embodiment has to do with your connection to your body. And this is, I was going to say deeper. They're both really important, both deep work. This can go back years and years and years. This takes more than one podcast for me to tell you. It can include trauma that we have from our past. It can include our own past medical history if we have medical trauma in our past. It can include narratives and messages we have felt from the world around us. It can include chronic pain. It can include anything that's disconnected you from your body. And I will tell you that even as a physical therapist, seeing someone for knee pain, there is always embodiment work that we are going to do in that. That means making sure you feel safe in your body, making sure you know how to listen to your body. What is it telling you? What am I feeling when I work out? I don't even know what messages it's giving me. All of those things are really important. And again, are important to do now because it's harder. It doesn't mean you can't do it. This is an ongoing, lifelong journey for pretty much all of us, this embodiment work. But we can't just ignore it forever is the thing. And without that connection to your body, it becomes much harder to go through the aging process because you're not sure what your body is telling you. You don't know what symptoms you're feeling because you don't know what's normal and what isn't. You don't know how to make time for yourself or prioritize yourself because you've never thought it was important. You're not willing to try a new workout or go to physical therapy because you don't trust that your body's going to give you feedback. You don't know what's going to make you sore and what isn't going to make you sore. And right now in your 20s and 30s, it's easy to just push that to the side. It's easy to say, that doesn't matter. That's not me. I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to listen to that. Doesn't matter. It is going to matter at some point, and it's easier if you can just start to have some understanding of it now. If you do have any trauma in your past, I highly recommend trauma-informed therapy, any therapy in any way. That can really help with embodiment. But if nothing else, go for walks. Go for walks without music, without a podcast. Just notice how your body feels. Literally just feel the sun on your face. Those kind of things are really important to connecting to your body, but make sure that you are starting to do that work now. Really listen to your body. What is it telling you? How does it feel? Start moving. That's going to be important and will come into play later on. And then the last tip I have is be willing to have open conversations with other women around you. And hopefully you are. Like maybe you already have a support system where you guys are talking about, oh, are you lifting your weights yet? I think I was supposed to. Are you getting your protein? Are we doing these things? I don't remember talking to any of my friends about that at all in our 30s. Again, we were busy. We were talking about having young kids. I mean, we had babies. We had 1 year old, 2 year old. We were talking about having toddlers. We had you have a lot of other things to talk about and deal with at that time. And I remember starting to feel these symptoms, like I mentioned to you. And I had a barbecue. Our kids are older at this point. We had like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids running around. So I was with my group of friends, moms, and at this point, we're all in our mid 40s. And someone mentioned something about feeling a certain way. And I don't remember if it was kind of hair changing or vision changing. And I remember just turning my head like towards the light. I just said, "What? What did you say? Are you guys talking? Are you feeling that? Because I'm feeling that too." I left that barbecue feeling, I don't know the word for it. I felt lighter. I felt, oh, I'm not the only one. There's verbiage for what I'm feeling, and there's a community for what I'm feeling, and I'm not going through it alone. So talking to women who are older than you, who've come before you, like, what did you go through with this? Listening to women who are going through it now, and then talking to your own support system about what they might be doing or how they're feeling. And if nothing else, you don't even have to talk about this, but just having a support system for whatever season of life you're in is going to help your nervous system. It's going to help embodiment. Like you are doing good things. It's going to maybe even help you find a healthcare professional because you and your support system are talking about what doctors you're seeing. Like not isolating yourself, but finding, even if it's just one other woman who's a support for you and a resource for you during this time, will be really helpful. And that is not talked about enough. The importance of that as you move just through the aging process, wherever you are on that spectrum right now. So let me review. All right. Grab your paper, grab your pencil, grab the notes feature on your app. Pause this if you need to. If you're driving, pause it until you get to a stopping point. These are my recommendations. All right. Number 1, know physiologically, hormonally, anatomically, what changes you can expect. Just know kind of physiologically what's happening. And then some possible symptoms to be on the lookout for, knowing that you might experience some, you might not experience all. We're all a little bit different. Knowledge is power. So have some knowledge of what might be coming in the future and why it's happening. 2, have a doctor or some kind of medical professional on your support team who has your medical records, who knows your history, who you are comfortable going to if you get to a place you start to have questions. Number 3, a couple tests that might be helpful to have soonish, sometime in your 30s. A DEXA scan, hormone panel, cholesterol levels. Number 4, know your own health history. So that includes you personally. And then also, if possible, if you have access to it, knowing your parents, grandparents, health history in your lineage. Next one, deal with any lingering pain or injuries that might be holding you back. That nagging knee pain, anything postpartum, any old injuries, any new injuries, back pain suddenly. Do you get headaches or tension in your neck from sitting at the computer all day? So then the last thing you want to do is go lift weights with your arms because you're afraid of your headache getting worse. These are things to see a physical therapist for. Deal with them now so they don't hold you back from doing what you need to do to feel your best. Next, take a look at your relationship or your habits around food and alcohol. Add fiber, add protein, decrease alcohol if you feel like you're doing it just out of habit or you feel like that might be a need for you. Increase your water. Next, lift weights. A minimum, absolute minimum of 20 minutes twice a week. Do 3 times a week if you can. Again, I'm going to have links to so many of this below, including some home workouts that you can start with for lifting weights. Next is nervous system support. Stop burning the candle at both ends. Get yourself out of that idea of hustle culture. Make sure you're getting some sleep. Make sure you're getting sun on your face, taking deep breaths, those little things to help nourish your nervous system. Included with that, but also an important tip, is embodiment work. Are you connected to your body? Is there anything holding you back from feeling a partnership with your body? And if there is, make sure you start to do a little bit of work around that. Finally, have open conversations, have a support system of women in your life, and that might just be one, and one is enough. One is enough. But don't isolate yourself during this time. Find any kind of community or women who feel supportive for you as you enter this time of changes. And then think of it as life is full of changes. We're meant to change. All right. Your body is meant to change. Don't compare yourself. And I should add this as the 10th tip. Okay. Don't compare yourself to where or who you were or what you looked like when you were 20, when you were 25, when you were 30, when you were 35. Who are you now? How can you be your strongest now? What can you do now? Don't compare. We are meant to change, and life can bring so much good and so much strength and so much vibrancy if we let it, if we're open to that, and if we're an active participant in making that happen. So as always, thanks so much for being here today. Check out all the links below, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for listening today. I would love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. It means a lot to us, and it helps our content get out to more women who need it. You can find more of my resources at my website, jessicavalant.com, or find me on YouTube at Jessica Valant and Instagram at Jessica S. Valant.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.